In my life, I am roughly on time. I'm within a minute of 5 o'clock Central Time. So there. Today we're continuing the theme of color. The magazine for this month is all about color. And I was thinking, whoever's writing the daily guides for this month has got to work around that theme of color and effectively do it each and every day. And I was thinking, that's not really an easy task, is it? It's kind of challenging. I would have thought it was challenging to find something for, let me see, 30 days to talk in which to talk about color. So I got to congratulate Reverend Raymont on his ingenuity. Now, I may not always agree with the points he's putting across. Usually I do, or I may not. More likely, I don't agree with the way that he's putting the points across. But by and large, the points are all pretty good. So I congratulate you, Reverend Raymond, on your ability to come up for 30 days with something about color. So there you go. The first quote is actually, the whole thing is called The Science of Color. The first quote is from a guy called Vasily Kandinsky, he was a Russian. He was born in Russia, but he, I guess, ended up his life in France, in Neuilly-sur-Seine, in France, and he died right the year before the end of the Second World War. And he was a Russian painter and art theorist, and he's considered to be one of the ones who pioneered abstract art in the West. Well, I'm not really a great fan of abstract art, to be honest with you. I'm not really a big fan of abstract art. I kind of like art to be itself. I mean, I can see in some of the abstract art that there's a lot of meaning to it, but some of it means nothing. I once went with a colleague when I was still working for Shell to one of the museums in London. I forget which. I think it was I forget which one it was. Anyway, and there was this modern painting, quote unquote, and all that it was two stripes on a canvas. One was a bit thicker than the other, and they were different colors. And that's it. That was all that was on the canvas. And this colleague of mine was oohing and ahhing about it and how wonderful it was. And it was supposed to represent Adam and Eve. But honestly, personally, see how this was such a wonderful painting. Now, I'm not an expert on art, so probably I was missing something, but I can see something in the works of Renoir and Van Gogh and lots of others, but this did not inspire me. Anyway, obviously the guy was pretty bright, and anyway, to get to the point, this is what he said. And I would think in abstract art, color must be incredibly important, right? Just because of the way it is. He says color is a power that directly influences the soul, Vasily Kandinsky. So I can see that. If you do an abstract art, yeah, color must be incredibly important because color and shape are the two things that you're demonstrating there. And light and shade and light and dark. Ernest Thomas, in a somewhat lengthy quote here from What Religious Science Teaches, says, every person is an incarnation of God. And that since each person is an individual, everyone is a unique incarnation. We believe in the divine presence as infinite person and personal to each person, that is. God is not a person, but the person with a capital P. This person is an infinite presence filled with warmth, color, and responsiveness, immediately and intimately personal to each individual. So Holmes says that we each have a personal relationship with the ground of all being, with the divine. And it's different for each one of us. And as I said, that was from What Religious Science Teaches, page 53, paragraph 5. It's actually a pretty good book, What Religious Science Teaches. Now, our writer, let me just minimize this window. I've got a bunch of windows open here. Let me minimize that one for now. Now let me bring this one up. Yeah, our writer this month says, how many of you are familiar with color theory, the color wheel, color harmony, and color psychology? Okay, so I've heard of some of them, but I couldn't have described them. So I went on ChatGPT, where else, to look them up. And this is what it said roughly. I'm going to just give you a summary. So it's about color theory. It's a set of principles used to create harmonious and visually appealing combinations. And then it goes on to talk about primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors, of course. And these, of course, are painted colors. In the spectrum, it's different. Yellow and green kind of switch places. It's yellow in paint and so on and so forth, but it's green in the spectrum. Then he talks about the color wheel, and it's a diagram that organizes colors in a logical order based on their chromatic relationship, how they relate color-wise to each other. And once again, they're divided into primary, secondary, and tertiary. Then he talks about color harmony, and that's the arrangement of colors with each other, how they fit together. And then color psychology is how, this is what it's defined as, the study of how colors affect human behavior, human emotions, and decisions. And the important part is, he says this is how they work together. This is what ChatGPT says. Color theory is the foundation. The color wheel is the tool. Color harmony is the goal. And color psychology is the emotional layer. So there you are. And he asked if I'd like some visual examples, and I ignored it. We say, and then Reverend Raymont says this about them. He says, each of them provides a usable methodology of how to use color for a designed outcome or an experience. What does this have to do with science of mind in particular, new thoughts in general? Because spirit is all there is, each of these tools offers us a unique way to access, to understand, and to employ spirit as it expresses as various hues, shades, tones, and tints. It turns out at the end of the day, he's using this as an analogy, but we'll come to that. He says, just as there are tools to help artists, designers, interior decorators, and psychologists use color more effectively, there are tools to help each of us communicate, cooperate, collaborate, and co-create the necessary spaces and means to heal all of the world's ills. So he's been using it as an analogy. Many people know nothing of such tools, while others refuse, for various reasons, to use the tools available. Rather than avoiding conflict, what tools do you use to address it in life-affirming ways? I can talk about this in a minute. What tools do you use to navigate grief, anger, frustration, isolation, and harmony? And what tools are you using to bring greater harmony to all of your own relationships, whether it's with others, with money, or with yourself? Knowing all colors are God communicating, expressing, and relating to itself, what do the colors of your home or your wardrobe say about your soul or your relationship with yourself as a divine being? How are you invited to more purposefully access the power of color as a divine power? Well, speaking about the tools, one of the most effective tools I've found working with other people, we'll come to ourselves next, is the power of asking questions. And you do it through what's called active listening. This is what I use in mediation. I use active listening. I use it in my emotional freedom technique sessions. Why? Because I want to make sure that I understand what the other person has said before I carry on. In mediation, I've often got to pass information from one party to another to see if we can find an agreement. But the bottom line is this as well. Besides getting the information, it also does something else for the other person. It makes them feel good, because when you repeat back to them what they've said to you and you confirm that, it lets them know they've been heard. And just knowing that you've been heard is psychologically beneficial. So that's one way in which I use it. He asks us all the question that stuff around our home, the colors of it, and our wardrobe, etc. What does that say about our personality? Well, I'd have to go and study this color stuff a little bit more to know exactly. But I'd say that I do like bright colors by and large. I like color, you know. The green behind is pretty vivid. The red t-shirt I'm wearing today, we've just been out shopping actually for grocery shopping. It's pretty bright. I like purples. I've got to go look all this up. But basically, I like all colors. I mean, there are some that are kind of like brown. I'm not too keen on, although ironically, brown apparently looks good on me. So I don't know what that means. But the bottom line is this. I think we've been given lots of tools, whether it's color, whether it's language, whether it's just the plain fact of being in a place and just sitting with people. We've been given lots of different tools to interact with people and to help the world be a better place. But one of the biggest ones we've been given, and which is, I guess, kind of what he's hinting at here in New Thought, in Science of Mind, is what we call spiritual mind treatment, which most of you are familiar with. And it's really all boils down to one thing. It's acknowledging that God is all there is, and we are a part of that expression, because if God is all there is, then we're part of that. And then knowing that because we're part of it, and we're consciously part of it, the power that flows through us is from the divine, and we can use that power for good in the world. And we can use that consciously. It, as I said, all boils down to what Jesus said, which is, it's done unto you as you believe. It's done unto you as you believe. And spiritual mind treatment, in its essence, tells you why that works. And remember, belief is thought plus feeling. Thought plus feeling. When you put the two together, that's belief. And that's when the magic starts to happen. So when you truly believe, that is when things really happen. So here is something to contemplate. If it's written down, it's too long for you to remember. It's too long for me to remember. It's worth contemplating. Is it an affirmation per se? Not to me, but who am I to say? I'm a master artist who uses the palette of the universe to adorn all of life with what bold, vibrant, and healing colors of joy, love, and community. And yes, the final one there is community, which, as we've always said, is incredibly important. So I am knowing this as truth, and I release that truth into the universal law, calling it done. And I'm grateful for this, and so it is. And that, in essence, was a mini spiritual mind treatment. So I will be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Hopefully, Reverend Lisa is really good about getting on around about 9:15 in the morning. And Danielle Mercadal, one of our practitioners, should be on about 11:15 tomorrow morning. But she works in a situation where sometimes she has no control over her time. So given her ability to work around her work schedule, she will be on 11:15 tomorrow. So until next time, namaste.